Good morning, happy Sunday. Today we're talking about eclectic maximalist style. So over the last 5 weeks, I think, I've been going back through our style personalities that we introduced at the start of the year. Really as a framework to help you to kind of explore your wardrobe more, explore your own style more, really understand what's you and what reflects the way you want to show up in the world. And to give you some guidelines that would hopefully give you the tools to dress with confidence and to enjoy dressing and get excitement from dressing. So the final style personality is today. We've talked about classic minimalist styles, modern romantic, edgy outfitter, la Parisienne, so all about French style, that was last week. And today we're talking about eclectic maximalist style, so the last one. So do go back and look through if you're interested and you've missed any. But today we're talking about eclectic maximalist styles. This one, I would say, on the face of it, I look at this and I think, well, this is just, it's not me. I'm someone who dresses, I've got a wardrobe full of black. I dress in neutrals a lot. I don't wear a lot of colour. There are odd bits of colour that I wear. I will wear a bit of red, but I don't tend to wear a lot of colour. And I think just talking to lots of you, I think lots of people look at this and think, oh yeah, I'm not an eclectic maximalist. You kind of immediately assume that you need to be kind of print clashing and wearing the rainbow. And absolutely, that's one end of the spectrum. But the more I sort of have delved into this and researched it, the more I found actually this is a really useful style personality to consider. Maybe not on its own, but as I always say, I think lots of us are multiple style personalities. You might be primarily a classic minimalist, for example, but with a touch of edgy outfitter or a touch of la Parisienne. I think lots of us are a mixture of style personalities, but eclectic maximalist style in particular is one that I think can really give us a kick up the bum style-wise. So if you're in a bit of a style rut, you may not feel like you're an eclectic maximalist, but don't ignore this style personality because I think it can give you a really good way of breaking out of your comfort zone, mixing up your wardrobe, and getting more excitement from your dressing. So I'm going to talk about this in terms of a sliding scale, so that there's something for everybody. So don't feel like this one isn't for you. If you are an eclectic maximalist, a true eclectic maximalist, and I'll talk about what that looks like, then there's definitely also something for you. But there'll be something kind of along all kind of parts of the spectrum for this one. Okay, so first of all, what is eclectic maximalist style? So it's sometimes described as kind of art teacher on the catwalk. It is very creative, it's joyful, it's exuberant, it's eye-catching, it's uplifting, it's about creativity and experimentation. Quite often when we think about this, we do think about wearing lots of colour and sort of colour clashing and wearing print and print clashing. Definitely at the kind of more extreme end of the spectrum, it's all about that. It's your kind of icon-wise, it's your Iris Apfels, your Zandra Rhodes. So if you feel that this really is you, go on Pinterest, look up Iris Apfel. She looks amazing. Actually, Trini Woodall, Trini London, I think also sometimes dresses in this way. She might wear head to toe in bright yellow with sequins, and I think there's something about people who dress in this way, when they get it right, that is, you're kind of drawn to them. It's very exuberant, it is amazing seeing how people do it. It's almost like a kind of walking painting. It's so creative, but there are definitely it's a definite spectrum, and I would say pitfalls, the danger of doing this in a way that's not thoughtful, is it can look a little bit kind of incohesive. It can look like you've not thought your outfit through, you kind of thrown things on, so it can look unbalanced and mismatched, and it can look a little bit children's TV presenter if you kind of go the wrong way with it, if it's not thoughtful. So So I'm going to talk about techniques and tips and ideas to really embrace this style personality, and even if you don't embrace it fully, to bring elements of this into whatever other style personality that you are. So I've got a few tips that I want to talk through. Right. First of all, so kind of edging our way into this style. If we're interested in this style, how can we start to kind of experiment with this? So I'm going to show you a few sneak peeks of pieces as well that haven't launched as I go. So number one, take one statement piece. So go for something classic. This is our classic Izzy rib dress, available in lots of colours, but I've taken the most classic, black. And then take one statement piece. So this is the Lola leopard print jacket that will be launching, where are we now? It will be launching early August. So a lovely Lola leopard print jacket. Now this is, I won't go into loads of detail on this one, but we are loving this one because there's something for the Eclectic Maximalist here. Obviously you've got the print, but there's also an option to reverse it if your style is more classic. So it's a reversible leopard print jacket, lightly padded, but so I'm excited about launching this one, you can probably tell. So take one statement piece and just layer it over something classic. And immediately you take in your simple black dress from kind of classic, timeless, to something just a little bit more eye-catching and statement. So that would be my tip number one. You could do that if you wanted to do it now. With pieces that we have in stock, you could do the same thing with the Corin camo jacket. So obviously quite a statement piece, you've got the print, layer it over something classic if you just want to sort of tiptoe into this style. That would be my tip number one. Or you could go for one statement colour. So for example, the Drew tiered dress, this is in the sale with 30% off, so a really good time if you want to kind of invest in colour. Sale, I think, is a really good time to sort of experiment with pieces that you're thinking about without sort of fully investing too much. So beautiful Drew, she's very classic, not Drew, what am I calling her? God, I can't remember what she's called. Anyway, Dulcie, I need to go with a D. Simple style, so quite a simple cut, quite statement in the volume, in the skirt, but not fussy. But you've got the colour, and the colour does the kind of maximalist bit for you. So you've not got anything fighting with the colour. The colour is the main kind of feature of this dress, and everything else is quite clean and simple. So that's what I would say as well, is if you're embracing one colour, think about the cut that you're going for. Go for something relatively simple. If she had lots of frills and ruffles, for example, that would be a bit further down the spectrum and might be a bit more scary to you. But I think the fact that she's, as I say, very simple cut, and it is just the colour, it's a really nice way of sort of tiptoeing into more statement, more maximalist style. Right, so play with, I would say, so yeah, go for one statement piece or one statement colour. My second tip is play around with colour. So a good way of kind of forcing yourself to start experimenting, and sometimes we're so stuck in our comfort zone and we're busy and we don't necessarily have the time to sort of think our outfits through, and we just go with what we know, and then feel bored with it and feel uninspired in our clothes. So I would say if you were to do one thing, then I would say ban yourself from black and white as a way of starting with this, just as a little experiment. So my natural way is to go to my wardrobe and I'll grab a black top and some trousers, or a white shirt and some jeans. And there might be colour in there that I just, because it means I have to think a little bit harder and I'm in a hurry, I don't go for. So I would say maybe for a week, just say, right, I'm not going to include any black or white into my outfit. And then I think it makes you work a little bit harder and think a little bit harder and experiment a little bit more. That doesn't necessarily mean, again, that you need to start kind of clashing primary colours. But for example, this morning, I thought, right, actually, I'm not gonna kind of include, so there's a little bit of white on here actually, but I don't think there's well, apart from the dress I've just shown you, there's not a lot of black. I've gone for the tiered skirt in ochre, and then the Maya rib vest in chocolate. And actually it still feels I still feel kind of comfortable in it as someone who doesn't wear a lot of colour, because they're a bit more muted, but actually I feel really good in this outfit. I still feel like, you know, it's relatively classic. I'm not kind of, you know, dressing in a way that's not my personality. I tend to be more of a classic minimalist, a little bit of edgy outfitter. But actually it's kind of uplifting. And I feel like, you know, I'm you know, doing something a bit different and a bit more inspired by my outfit today. So that would be my starting point. It would be to ban yourself from black and white for a week, and see where you go, see what you can kind of come up with. And quite often there are things in our wardrobe that we haven't worn for ages that we can combine, and actually, you know, it does inspire you to experiment. So number 2, tonal dressing. So if you're not looking to contrast colour, you're not quite there yet. A good way to dip your toe into colour is to dress in more tonal ways. So for example, you could go for blues. So this is the blue, navy blue Drew skirt. This has come back into stock. So a lovely cotton poplin skirt, very simple but with an element of statement. She's got the dip hem, she's got some lovely volume. I've banned myself from black and white. I would normally pair her with a white top, but I've gone for the perfect roll sleeve t-shirt in cornflower. Still feels very classic, but actually it's probably not the first outfit I would have reached for, and actually it's a really lovely outfit. It's a nice way to start kind of adding a little bit of colour into my outfits. Or I could go for the Izzy rib dress in the navy, and then over the top I could layer the new Olivia shirt in the powder blue. So I could just pop that over the top. Layering colours of the same tone is a really nice way to add some interest and excitement to your look without kind of feeling out of your comfort zone. So I might want to layer her over the top, leave her open. That's a really nice way of kind of doing a bit of tonal dressing. If you're thinking about this for more sort of formal style, you could go for something like the layer pinstripe trousers, a really good year-round piece. And then I could go for all greys, so I could go for the neat fit t-shirt in the grey marl. Or I could, if I wanted to go more sort of day or sort of an evening out, I could go for the iris tulle skirt and the grey marl neat fit t-shirt. So that's a really nice way of doing that. And again, because the iris tulle skirt is quite statement, I do always say keep the top half quite simple, and my natural way would be to pop a white vest on with this. But I think if I'm kind of banning myself from black and white in my outfit, then a tonal way of dressing with this skirt without feeling like you've got a top half that's fighting with it would be to go for a grey top, so the grey marl. And that I think is quite cool as well. So you've got the kind of prettiness and floatiness, but I think adding the grey marl sort of dresses it down, pairs it back, and makes it feel quite cool as well. So you could go for something like that. So that would be my sort of stage 1 on the spectrum of eclectic maximalist style. Thinking about colour, go for tonal dressing. Stage 2, I would say, okay, if you're not going tonal, stick with earthy colours or more sort of neutral colours, but try working with them. So you could go for something like our lovely Piper parachute cargos in the khaki, and you could pair them with navy. I really love khaki and navy together. I think it's a really good combination. Again, I've got myself out of black and white, but I've kept it quite classic. So they would be a really nice combo. All going into slightly cooler weather, I could do the Rebecca knitted tank. We've got the very last ones of these left. But again, really lovely combo with those two. Or I could do something like I could could go for the Drew Dip hem skirt in khaki, and I could pair it with burgundy. This would be quite nice in autumnal, actually, going into sort of August, September time. That would be a really nice combo. So I've kept to sort of more earthy tones. Similarly, I think these, I would say, even though this is a yellow, it's a more earthy yellow. So feels a bit safer, feels a bit more neutral. So that would be my sort of stage 2 on dressing with colour, is kind of stick with those earthy tones rather than the primary colours. Right, stage 3 then, if we're kind of working with primary colours, I would say go for 1 primary and 1 earthy. So, for example, sticking with my Drew, I've swapped out the burgundy and I've gone for a brighter red. So this is on my Vest in red. This is more of a kind of orangey red. So I do always say it. I think the 2 colours that I probably wouldn't put together because it feels like Christmas is red and green. However, because this is more of an orangey red and this is more of a sort of khaki rather than a greeny khaki, it's more of a browny khaki, I think they really work together. Or you could do red and brown, for example. Again, a really lovely combo. So this is the Izzy Rib vest the Izzy Rib dress in the red. This is a little sneak peek, so this hasn't arrived yet, but will do very soon, going into August. This is the Olivia shirt in chocolate. So we've done this done this colour in the perfect shirt. Last few of those we've just popped into the sale, but I know you've all been loving the chocolate, so we're doing Olivia in chocolate for autumn. But you could do this dress with the, if we've still got your size in the perfect shirt in chocolate in the sale, you could do that now. But a really lovely combo, not one you necessarily would be kind of front of mind, but when you're challenging yourself and you start to experiment, I think you see these combinations and realise actually they work together really well. If you wanted to go a little bit more pared back with this one, I think chocolate and navy, also really lovely and very classic, and a really nice way of not doing black and white. So this open with the navy Maya Rib vest underneath, or you could do it open over the navy Izzy Rib dress. Or with the navy Drew Dip hem skirt as well. Really lovely combo. And I think this feels quite smart and feels quite grown up, but you've done colour. So think about chocolate, and chocolate is a really nice one, I think, for pairing with different colours. Right, or stage, whatever we're on, the furthest end of the spectrum is going colour and colour. So you could, and when you're doing this, you could go into the whole kind of theory of the colour wheel, but I would say sort of look for, if you're properly embracing colour, I would look for opposites on the colour wheel. So I think, or you could do something like sort of pick out a colour in one separate, in another separate. So you could do something like the Tokyo t-shirt, which works really well with the ochre of the tier skirt. So what we've done with lots of our slogan tops, where we've done colour in pieces or colour in our collection, is we've kind of matched the Pantones of these colours. So the heart on here will match with the Pantone on the tier, which makes for a very nice outfit. Or, where we've got our sort of powder blue and cornflower blues, we've matched that into some of our other slogan pieces as well, our other prints. So that's another way of doing brights. If you really want to go for it on the brights, you could do the contrast, sort of opposite ends of the colour wheel, or you could pick out an element of a separate in the print on a t-shirt. So that's colour. Right, so we've talked about colour. The next thing to talk about is print. When I think about print, I don't just mean sort of printed pattern. I don't just mean kind of leopard print, etc. I think you can also think about texture as doing the same job as print. And that would be, again, sort of the easiest sort of less extreme end of the spectrum with this. So think about texture rather than print. So something like a lovely Brooke broderie dress in the white does the job of print, because you've got this, it's effectively a pattern, but it's obviously not a pattern with colour. And I think this is the easiest way to do sort of print, if you want to call it print, is to think of it in terms of texture. So something like the Brooke broderie dress, or one of my favourite outfits at the moment is the Lake broderie shirt. I'm so pleased we've got the Drew back in time, because that as a co-ord is just a really nice way. So obviously you kept the colour fairly kind of easy. We've got navy, so easy to sort of work with, but we've added the interest through the texture, and this is effectively doing the job of print. And then if you wanted to go a bit further with this one, what you could do is add a coloured bra on. So actually with this, you could go for a bra, like turquoisey bra. This is from our friends at Peach House, who do the most brilliant colours. So that's a really nice way as well. I'll talk a little bit about accessories, but also where you've got something that's a little bit sheer, think about playing around with your bra colours. Peach House do the best range of colours in bras that I've seen. So that's another thing you could do as well. But yeah, a really nice combo and sort of does the print job. Okay, so stage 2 then, you could go for one print and one plain. So sticking with the Drew, I could add in the Charlie check blouse, the Charlie gingham blouse. So, and this I think is a safer way to do pattern, to do print for lots of us, because we've stuck with more neutral tone. So go for a plain and a print. That would be a lovely, lovely outfit together. So yes, go for a print and a plain. Or you could go for, I'm breaking my not using black rule, but just as a little demo, a really good print, again, because we've used neutrals, we've used nice earthy tones, so an easier print to wear if you're not someone who wears a lot of print, but actually like the idea of it to add a bit of interest. So kind of tiptoe in with a plain, and a print, and for this I've picked up the black in the print and gone for black in my top, even though I've banned myself from black, but just as an example. Or you could go for the chocolate with this one as well and go for earthy tones. Or you could do something like, I've got my, so you could go head to toe khaki in the Drew Dip hem skirt and the sage shell top. But you could go for the Corin camo jacket over the top, and then I've kind of picked out the khakis in here, and then I've added my print in the jacket. So that's the kind of back to that one statement piece idea. And then one more sneak peek. So this will come out not this week but next week. Is our lovely Safi skirt. So this is new. We're sort of doing a bit of a kind of sort of pinks and burgundies, which I'm loving. Doing a little bit of a sort of capsule on those. But this is a brand new print. So you've got the lovely pink and burgundy. So you could go for print on your bottom half and then go for plain on the top. And I think when you're dressing in colour and print, the key really is to pick out a colour in the print to make your outfit feel cohesive. So with this one, I've picked out the pink in the leopard print skirt with the pink in the t-shirt, and that way, when we're playing with print and colour together, it ties the whole look together. So, so think about pulling the colour out. Okay. Or we could go for print and print. So the safest way of doing that, I would say, is to go for something like, where's my tie gone? There we go, right. You could go for a co-ord in print. So you've got the same print top and bottom. So you're effectively kind of creating a dress for yourself, but you've got the poppy zebra print blouse, and then the Safi zebra print skirt. So I'm matching my prints. I'm doing 2 prints which are the same. Or you could go for, these are launching this week. This will be with you on Thursday. These are our Hayley kick flare. So gorgeous leopard print. If you missed out on the Alice leopard print shorts, they flew out, but these are the same print as those. So more of a, I think again they work because they're sort of slightly muted, so you've got more of a sort of almost slightly washed black stroke chocolatey colour in here. There are more sort of washed colours, so, and I think that's an important thing to think about when you're going for leopard print. I always say go for more of a sort of washed, if you're going for sort of a neutral leopard print, go for more washed rather than the sort of too shiny in your face orangey leopard prints. So these are the Hayley kick flare, and if I'm going print and print actually, and this is why I always love a sort of slogan statement t-shirt or sweatshirt, because they let you do the print clash in a way that feels a bit safer. So this is our new wave t-shirt, and the key if you're doing print and print is to keep the tones and the colours the same, to keep it feeling cohesive. So for this one, I've pulled out this lovely sort of beigey, biscuity tone that's in the leopard print, in the print on the t-shirt. So yes, print and print, pick out colours in the prints and make sure they're sort of working together rather than against each other, because then it feels cohesive and it feels put together. And then you've got stripe and stripe. So again, a really nice way of kind of, if you want to sort of layer prints, is to stick with stripes. So you could go for something like the Maya red vest in the print, and you could go for in the stripe rather, and you could go for exactly the same stripe. So this is our Lenny long sleeve t-shirt, exactly the same fabric, exactly the same stripe. But if I were to wear a pair of jeans or a pair of shorts and just want to make the look a little bit more interesting, I could go for this, and then I could drape the Lenny over the top and wear her almost like as an accessory, or I could wrap her around my waist. You could go for the same stripes, or you could contrast the stripes. So I could go for the Camille Cashmere Blend crew neck, and then drape her over the top. So so I've kept the colours the same. We've still got navy and white, or navy and slightly off-white. I've kept the colours working together, so they're not contrasting, they're not working against each other, it doesn't feel too much, but I've just added some interest. So if you want to sort of tiptoe into print clashing, then a good starting point is to just stick with stripes. And then finally, accessories are a really nice way of just adding a little bit of texture or print or colour into your outfit. So this skirt, for example, this outfit today, I'm pulling out the Suki bag. So we've got 3 bags which are brilliant for holidays, really good beach bags and travel bags. They're super strong. You can fit loads in them. I'm not going to show you inside here because I have actually put loads in it. Took this on the shoot on Friday and haven't quite emptied it. But they've also got a zippy compartment as well, so you can keep your valuables in there. And then they're fully lined, and then they've got this sort of tassel on the side just for a little bit of texture. So you're doing print and you're doing texture. But again, a really nice way of sort of making your outfit feel more interesting. So I've pulled out the ochre here. You could print clash with them, so you could go for something like, if I were to wear my Drew Dip hem skirt with the Corin camo jacket, and then I wanted to make it even more creative, I could go for the Suki bag that has green tones. Again, I've done a print clash, but they're not fighting against each other, because I've taken this sort of slightly khaki tone, this dark khaki tone that's in the Corin camo jacket, and then the lighter greens as well, and sort of kept them tonal, so they're kind of all working together, but I've managed to do a bit of a print clash with an accessory. Or if I had a completely plain a neutral outfit, so something like, I'm not saying neutral, but I've got a bit of colour in it, but I've not got any print in it. I could go for something like the white drew dip hem skirt and the crew neck in cornflower, and I just really want to emphasise this colour. Then I could go for, stick with my blues and go for the Suki bag in the blues as well. So definitely, again, if you just want to add a little bit of colour into your look, then the bags are a really nice way of doing it, and they're super useful. And I definitely feel like, as someone who doesn't wear a lot of colour, I definitely wear more in summer. So summer is a really nice time to start playing with prints and colours. But I really hope that helps. Thank you everyone so much for joining. If you're watching back and you've got any questions, please just pop them in the comments and I'll come back to you. And if you're on our email list, look out this evening because we'll give you a preview VIP link to purchase this week's launches that launch on Thursday. We've got new colours in the Skylar and the Sammy, which I should have brought down but I didn't, sorry. And I pop these on there as well, Hayley, in leopard. Right, take care, have a lovely Sunday, and I'll be back on Thursday with new launches. Take care, bye bye.